So we were gonna record yesterday, but I was a little out of it from the booster shot, and we're like, oh, it's fine. We'll do it on Wednesday. We'll like watch NXT and stuff, and some other things happened. Uh, what happened, Matt?
Yeah, as of 1:30 this morning, I'm a dad, 11 weeks early, but he is here. He is healthy. My wife is healthy as well. She's up moving around great. So yeah, it's needless to say, it's been a crazy several days here.
Which is great that it didn't happen when we were in Minneapolis. That would have
Yeah,
been extra crazy. But your son happened to be born on National Cowboy Shit Day.
yeah, he was. He just wanted to see it for himself. I can't
Yeah.
say that I blame him, but yeah, it's something. My dad actually joked. He said, we're lucky he held on for those 2 weeks, and wasn't born in Guatemala because we would have had to smuggle him across the border.
Well,
Or actually,
yeah.
we would have been stuck in Guatemala for you know
Yeah, no, you
12,
would have just been
12
there. Yeah.
14 weeks while he was in
Yeah.
the neonatal unit. So yeah, that would have been nuts. I would have spent
Yeah.
14 weeks spending the not real money and come back and like owed my ass to everybody who exists. But um, yeah, no, it's exciting. So whew, riding an
Yeah.
adrenaline high. So I figured we would talk about my favorite thing outside of family at this point, pro wrestling.
Yeah, I was super surprised. I was pretty set that I was like, oh, I'm going to do a solo podcast today because there wasn't enough time for me to get anyone else on board, and I thought we should really do a full gear podcast before it gets too far separated from the event. But yeah, we were in Minneapolis. We with a friend of the podcast, Michelle, who's been on a few previous episodes back on the original run, and it was a fun time. I enjoyed watching a big, large scale wrestling event, which is, I don't know, twice the size at least of when we saw Double or Nothing back in Jacksonville back in May, and it was inside in a what apparently is a kind of a COVID hotspot right now. So that was fun.
Yeah, to be in a basically completely maskless arena, after being in a completely maskless Mall of America during a COVID outbreak in Minneapolis was, yeah, it was a little frightening, but it was worth it. This show was great. I honestly I can't point to a single moment on this card that wasn't. Oh, well, I can point to a moment that wasn't good, but that's just a personal beef. But I mean, from start to finish, this thing it started with the buy-in, the women's tag match, and it didn't slow down from start to finish. Just incredibly well done. Booking wise, maybe don't have a biting segment in every match and an eye gouge and a low blow. Um, some of those got a little repetitive, but outside of that minor complaint, just a wonderfully well booked show. Everybody on it gave 180%. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
was it
think
was nuts.
I remember Jericho talking about how kind of early on he had a kind of a criticism where there wasn't enough talk between the different producers and the different matches that were happening on a single show of Dynamite or a pay-per-view, to where there were a lot of repetitive spots across like one episode of Dynamite or Double or Nothing or Full Gear or something like that. And I think that had mostly kind of been rectified, especially when kind of Chris Jericho pointed it out. But it seems like Full Gear, they kind of lost that thread a little bit. And I think partially because this was so jam packed, and I don't think, like, if they were talking about what spots, a lot of people were talking about big spots like table spots or anything like that. But I think everyone was just like, oh, biting, like no one was really thinking about that, like that across all that thing. So hopefully they kind of notice that and be like, okay, we gotta maybe not do that in every match.
Yeah, and it could just be. I mean, on an episode of Dynamite, if it's that the talent basically
Mm-hmm.
like works out their own matches and they go out and do it, and there's not a whole lot of oversight. I get that they don't. I mean, they're trying to stay in the zone. not get distracted working with what other people have going on. Um, on Dynamite, you don't notice it as much. It's there. Like it's there. I'm not going to say it's not, but I think the commercial breaks,
Yeah.
promo segments, things like that, I think they cut in enough that
Mhm.
it kind of creates distance between those spots and prevents it from seeming as repetitive as a pay per view does.
Yeah, and so like this pay-per-view, I was looking at the times, and this had, I think, close to 72% of the show was in-ring time. And their like AEW's average is already higher than WWE's, but their normal average is something like 63% of a show. So like that's the fact that we had even kind of a gigantically filled card. They used all of those 4 hours or 4.5 when you talk about the buy-in. And it was so much wrestling.
Yeah,
If
every
if I
every
could
minute of it.
if I could have one criticism, I really feel like Omega and Hangman deserve to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes longer. And like I was thinking that maybe they programmed a little bit of an overage into that time, but no. Right when we hit 11 o'clock in that arena, Central Time, you saw that copyright notice was then they lifted up Hangman, like Dark Order just gotten Hangman up, and it was like, nope, we're out, because that's when the clock struck midnight on the East Coast. So um, yeah, that was my thing, and that's a problem in general that AEW has is quite they don't manage their shows well enough on time to where that main event gets the time it should most of the time. A lot of times it gets cut short.
Yeah, it is a recurring thing, and I think that's why it's hard to like not notice that it happens. In
Mm,
this instance, given all of the reports on Kenny's health, I almost wonder if they intentionally left them kind of a short window where Kenny could go out there, do as much as he could in short bursts, and just get the hell out before he really hurt himself. Um, just kind of buy him a fast paced good match. I mean, he wasn't going to hit a 6 star or anything in what 8-12 minutes time, but it was he could go out, do enough service to the 2 year story that they told,
yeah,
put on enough of a show without just like absolutely destroying that shoulder that he's more than likely going to have surgically repaired.
yeah. And selfishly, so I wanted more time, and I wanted Hangman to be the second person to kick out of one winged angel. But I'm thinking either that's a rematch later down the road when Kenny's healed, because you got to have something to like make it a bigger match, and that would do it, or that's just going to be reserved for Ibushi. Like Ibushi is going to be the one person, and Omega and Ibushi have that retirement kind of angle at some point in the next few years. And they're both injured right now, essentially. So we'll see. But yeah, that was my biggest thing. I'm super happy Hangman win. There was something about it, and I haven't the Bleacher Report thing. I'm sure any of the rest of you that have purchased on Bleacher Report can probably attest to complete garbage, almost impossible to rewatch this event. So I haven't had a chance to actually successfully rewatch this show, but I really wanted to watch this particular match because I feel like with the commentary, especially with the spots with the Jackson brothers, kind of almost giving their approval for Hangman to hit that buckshot lariat twice on Hangman. Um, I think that would have hit a lot harder if we were watching it on TV with the commentary
Yeah,
than it did in the arena.
there's some bit of nuance in it that we didn't get, from front row, but 200 level.
Yeah,
And you only catch so much with just the one camera that you're getting on the
yeah,
jumbotron, and not hearing Excalibur kind of like pointing out that they gave him the nod, and there's so much that we didn't get in that moment. So yeah,
yeah,
it's tragic that Bleacher Report sucks as bad as it does, considering, I mean, they've got the financial backing of I don't know, Turner Media. So
yeah,
they should be a well-oiled machine, since it's basically the same server farm that operates the CNN website.
Man, and Bleacher Report Live was, not perfect, but it was pretty solid for the most
Yeah,
part.
super functional.
So,
And the biggest complaint about BR Live was just that it didn't have some of the functionality that WWE Network had, and they
yeah.
claimed to have been working on it. And then all this upheaval in Warner and Turner and Discovery and all that, it just got kind of cast by the wayside. Now we're forced onto this much lesser app that was essentially crafted just for sports scores, like
Yeah.
2-minute highlight clips. It was never supposed to be 4-hour events. Um, I don't like fight. I don't like fight at all because it buffers, and 9 times out of 10, the app will just crash in the middle of something you're watching. And fast forwarding on it is a nightmare. But fight is even a better option than Bleacher
Yeah.
Report. I know you got to keep your corporate synergy, but if just pick one and make it work, and because that's terrible. Because
Man,
I know there had to have been 3 or 4 moments in the show. I had 45 minutes of sleep. I can't remember them all offhand, where having commentary would have gone a long way. Really, I want to know what Excalibur was saying when CM Punk was getting booed by
yeah.
me, but I'd like to know how Excalibur reacted to it. Um, I was also really hoping that you were going to have your CM Punk Mark ass friend join us today to get somebody that was at least going to be like, oh no, it was the greatest thing ever. CM Punk should win every match he's ever in. Because
Well,
let's just jump straight to that match because that was that.
so I do have some insight from Adam. At least he's solid. Like Adam agrees that he's solidly CM Punk is solidly on the way to being a heel. It may not be happening as quick as we would like, but like he cut a post match promo that they put in the Road to Dynamite thing that launched yesterday. And man, he said he's like remembering who he used to be, and who he used to be was a heel
Yeah.
primarily. So um, Punk is solid, and that look that he gave the crowd while he was getting booed, like when he took a break between like knees to Kingston, like uh, he's on his way. Did Eddie gain so much goodwill that I thought you could have almost done like a um and I hope they did it, but it was just like the ideal situation in that situation in that thing if Punk was going to win, to me would have been a WrestleMania 13 Austin Bret Hart situation where like Kingston passes out or something like that, to where yeah, technically he lost, but like he also,
See, I would actually argue on the contrary that I think it does more service for everybody because Eddie did a lot of dirty shit in that match. This was
yeah.
a biting, a low blow, eye gouges. Let Eddie win with some dirty shit. Come back on Dynamite and have Punk challenge him to an unsanctioned match. If you want to play
Mm,
dirty, I can do that shit too. And then have Punk just destroy his ass in that unsanctioned match.
yeah.
But I think it would have done so much more, even if Punk took the loss with an asterisk attached to it because Eddie did something dirty to get the win. I don't know how you let all of that stuff come out. Eddie writes that 4-page article for the Athletic, and that whole promo. I mean, they did so much work. I just, some part of me doesn't know how you let that end in an Eddie Kingston loss. Um, I know you're protecting Punk. And if you want to turn him heel, keep letting him go over everybody because it sure as shit worked for Cody. Um,
Oh god. Yeah,
but
that'll be a later conversation for us.
I mean, like, and I can equate it to when John Cena started to earn crowd favor. He was doing the open challenge, and yes, he won all the matches, but he wasn't going out here and like winning matches he shouldn't have won. Cena was going out just letting people put on demonstrations against him and then getting his win somehow. Punk doesn't really seem to do that. Like, Hobbs has had 15 better matches than the Punk match. I know Bobby Fish can do better.
Mm.
Like, so it's, I'm not seeing, the benefit to having Punk go over all of these people. I think is my bigger problem with all of it. I know that fanfare and everybody in that room with us was pretty soundly, you know, CM Punk fans. But I really do. I think it's doing a disservice to everybody, including Punk, to not have him get a loss here pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Um, and it's always the easiest way to have somebody turn heel is to have them take a loss and then flip their shit about it. Like
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair has done it 15 different times now. Um, so I really do. I love the Mad King with all of my wrestling heart. He will be a champ one day. I truly believe it. Um, so it actually, and I think that took a little of the wind out of my sails when we got to the main event. That I was so heartbroken that I didn't get to see Eddie beat Punk. That
Yeah.
it really did. It kind of just like my mood there was a plateau, and even getting my cowboy shit ending, I was not going to be able to get past it.
And even like we went into it in our prediction post, we both said that in our heads say that CM Punk was going to win that match, but our hearts wanted Eddie to win. Like that's like we knew logically what was going to happen, but it still hurt. But I like, if anything, it's just like, especially with the inevitability of Hangman winning and stuff like that. I almost kind of wanted a little bit of surprise, and I would say that Full Gear, although in a lot of ways was very satisfying and giving you the endings that you wanted, uh, I still kind of wanted some a little bit of surprise here and there. And I thought that Punk Kingston match and the Danielson Miro match were the two opportunities to do that, and that they didn't choose to do that, which I can't necessarily I fault them for it. It's nice that it's not always the Vince McMahon. I'm just gonna do a who like M Night Shyamalan ending like just because I can. Uh, but you know that's where we're at.
Oh shit!
America's
How does Joey Janela have a Money in the Bank briefcase? So I we'll just kind of we'll kind of quick pop some finishes in a minute, but so that we can really expand on the bigger things for us in particular. It's our podcast. We only got 8
yeah.
listeners. What is your match of the night?
Match of the night. I think I said this before when we were after the show, but for me, if they continue the Punk and Kingston storyline, then honestly, it might be my match of the night. Even though it deflated me, I thought there was just so much fire in both sides that it really got me there. And then probably second is the Darby. Man, who's that guy?
MJF.
MJF. Like that was a fun match, a very technical match, which I wasn't really expecting. So that I enjoyed that match a lot. But the Punk Kingston match, if they somehow continue this story, then it would actually be the top. I'm about 50-50 on whether or not they're actually going to do that or not. And we'll kind of see tonight maybe. There was unfortunately a rumor that Kingston was beat up and he had to cancel a convention appearance on Sunday, but he then tweeted that he wasn't missing any work. So I don't know if that means like Ricky Starks, I'm not missing any work because I'm going to be on commentary for the next 4 months. But
I
you
think
know,
I saw something that he had to miss that convention the next day because he was at the doctor having MRIs done.
uh,
Like, so
yeah,
it must have come back okay. I don't
yeah,
imagine he's going to work a match for at least a few weeks, but
yeah,
hopefully we get the Mad King with a microphone.
yeah,
But I'm glad you brought up the MJF Darby match. That match was just a load of fun from start to finish. Even though just before it happened, I totally called the ending.
yeah,
Um, and that's how it had to end. The one complaint that I have about that match is that most of the promotion involved the four pillars, and I felt like it needed to be a fatal four way. We need to
Hmm.
get to that match. We need
Right.
the four pillars of AEW in a fatal four way. Doesn't have to be elimination, though I would vastly prefer it. Um, for one, I need to find a way to get Sammy Guevara the hell away from all of this 5-man tag horse shit that he keeps getting stuck in. But yeah, Darby and MJF, technical masterpiece.
Right.
I mean, Darby, for all of his crazy body bag bumps, just psychotic stuff, and the coffin drop onto the apron where he caught his foot on the rope coming down and landed wrong. I
Yeah.
thought for sure he had just like completely separated his arm and was going to have to stop. But no, got right back up. But even with all of that, I mean, the kid may be the man of 1,002 holds. Because that it was impressive. Um, and we've seen just from him working with Jericho that MJF is just as good technically. Um, I mean, I got to be honest. If two of the pillars I that the company I owned were built on, I'd feel really damn good about it.
Yeah.
Because these two, they really are. They're the future of professional wrestling. For all MJF's boasting that he's going to take Vince's money here in a few months. I can't say that I'd blame him because, like, you'd show up, take the money for a few months, get a few months off with your future endeavors notice, and then just
Yeah.
be right back where you were. $2 million richer for 6 months worth of your time. Uh, pull the Braun Strowman, but yeah, that 100%. That match set the tone, and I don't know if outside of Luchasaurus diving off the side of that ramp, I don't know if any moment in the show had better spots than this match did. It was just nuts the whole time.
You didn't love Dan Lambert spots?
Yeah,
As much
his
as
his little his little tracksuit ass running around the ring doing nothing but carrying a steel pipe. I'm like, is he going to do something at some point? Like he's carrying the most brutal weapon that's out here. It was,
logically that match didn't make sense. We're going to jump over to that now. Like just on the whole premise that it was a Minneapolis street fight, and for the first half of the match, it was just like a traditional 10-man tag match. Like there was regular tags and tags in, and it should have been a tornado tag the entire time. And it eventually got to that point, but then why was that just abandoned halfway through?
yeah,
And the ref was like, "Okay, this is what we're doing now." Like it should have always been like that, or it should have always stayed a traditional 10-man tag. So I
and
don't.
and
The logic there wasn't there.
what really sucks is had they just come out of the gate tornado with weapons and like just booked that match, I think it would have been
Yeah.
fine. But realistically, the 10-man tag portion of this match was the better half of the match. Once they got to the point where they were using weapons, it was like everything they booked went out the window.
Yeah.
None of those MMA guys ever seemed to be in the spot they were meant to be in at any given time.
Oh yeah.
And Chris Jericho can only fix your timing so much.
Yeah.
Um, like that point where he leaned out of the ring waiting to get punched and just kind of had to stand
Yeah.
there for a good 6-8 seconds. Like it does not go unnoticed. Um, I I really do. I think if the goal is to show that these MMA guys are the top caliber athletes that we all know they are. And Junior Dos Santos, who's openly professed his love for this and how much
Yeah.
he really enjoys what he's doing. Um, I think sticking with a traditional tag match might have been the better way to go.
Yeah.
But or done a
Um,
stadium stampede so they could have filmed it and fixed the bad spots.
right. And then beyond that, I would say this is the worst match on the show. And even then I wasn't bored or anything. If anything, I was just like upset with the logic, but there was no stakes in this for me to be like upset about the outcome either. But um it was fine. It was fine. And that's if that's the worst match of the night and I just say it's fine, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Britt Baker versus Ty Conti. What did you think about that?
In my head, I set the bar um, probably at an unreachable level.
Uh,
Um, I know that they could have put on a better match. It kind of felt like they had gotten cut a little short.
yeah.
Um, I did enjoy. There were what 10 false finishes in this thing. I thought
Hmm.
Ty Conti won this belt 3 different times because she was just beating the hell out of Britt Baker. But the champ retains. It was a good match. I think it may have been bookended between just in a spot where it wasn't going to be able to win unless it was that Britt Baker Thunder Rosa match.
Hmm.
Which if you put that match on this card, that match is still the match of the night.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think I had the bar set too high, but it was still a good match. I can't complain about it. They both did exactly what was asked of them. It just
It,
looks to me like Britt Baker's not going to lose that belt anytime soon.
yeah. The only person I think that at this point has a reasonable chance of beating Britt Baker is Thunder Rosa. And she's currently in that TBS tournament. So like right now, she's not even in the running for she's not even kind of gunning for this championship. So, I mean, I think they maybe at Revolution they have a credible challenger, whether it's Thunder Rosa or not. Um, some people are saying Statlander is possibly also a reasonable challenger, but we'll kind of see.
I'm starting to feel like that TBS belt may have been thrown in here so that they could put some kind of belt on Statlander
Yeah,
without taking the belt from Britt Baker. But
Lumberjack Alien Statlander. We had that
mm,
on Rampage that Friday, and a
yeah,
lot of people didn't know how to feel about that.
oh,
The
I know
Bill
how
was,
I felt. I don't
uh,
want to get us canceled, but
yeah,
I know how I felt. Yeah, that was uh, that was something special.
yeah,
I won't get into any detail about it, but she's she's an amazing talent, and she's beautiful. So
yeah.
it's a combination of those two things put together. Um,
And uh, right before, we'll just kind of just jump on Rampage real quick. Orange Cassidy was very upset that he was still doing this. Can we just get this over with? Like this Matt Hardy thing. It was a very he was speaking for all of us when he did that promo ahead of the main event interview. And as you pointed out, they're still technically doing a Hardy family office versus um, the best friends, Orange Cassidy. But it's got a little interesting wrinkle in the fact that um, Orange Cassidy was brought into chaos as well as Statlander and Wheeler Yuta joining the best friends who were already in it. So now Okada sent along his right hand man to tag with uh, Orange Cassidy tonight against the Butcher and the Blade, Tomohiro Ishii. So yes, the Stone Pitbull versus I know the Butcher and Ishii are going to go at it, and that's what I'm really looking forward to tonight on Dynamite. But back to Full Gear. So maybe actually the weakest match of the night I might have to actually put this above it. The Lucha Bros against FTR. I think there were just I guess there's some reports there was a minor injury and stuff like that, and they had to call some stuff on the fly. I think it ended up being that the legal man was not the one that was pinned in the end because they had the whole mask. They both put on those lucha masks. FTR both did, and uh, I think it just became a mess towards the end.
yeah, I
Um,
I think that they couldn't tell how serious the injury might have been, and
yeah,
they needed a quick finish. Uh, I almost think FTR was supposed to win the match, but they
uh,
needed a quick finish to get them a rematch later
yeah,
on the technicality. Um, but they needed to end this one just in case the injury was something more significant than it was. But
yeah. So I hope they get a rematch. I hope it's I hope everyone's okay, and we get something that's actually worthy of the talent of both these teams. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think
FTR's having a rough go of it this year between
yeah,
the stairs slicing Cash open, and now I think it was Dax this time that
yeah,
it's his shoulder. Lots of shoulder injuries through by the end of this show, but
yeah,
yeah,
and probably the match.
somehow not to Darby Allen, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's the guy's like he's some kind
he
of freak.
he's made of rubber.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can put together.
The match that I have not really had a chance to watch, kind of both of us because we both went to go get food, was the Cody Rhodes and Pac versus Andrade El Idolo and Malachi Black. We both kind of took that as the opportunity once we realized the American Top Team match, which is what was when we were planning on getting food originally. When we realized that was going to be at the end of the card, we went and got stuff there. And because it was the most kind of thrown together match at the last minute, Cody Rhodes got heavily booed in his entrance. Um, and JR was like, I don't even know why people are booing Cody. So I don't, it's, we got into a very strange spot in like half a year where, everyone had pretty much had love for Cody and then they got sick of him real fast. Um, so I don't know. I don't know where you go from here.
Yeah, I think he knows exactly what he's doing at this point. I think early on it was some vanity booking,
Yeah.
and he was booking himself over a lot of the younger talent, your four pillars kind of guys,
Mm.
and at a certain point the crowd starts to notice, and that becomes an issue. Um, I I don't know. I look at it. I can look at a lot of things through the scope of how Vince McMahon books his superheroes. The way he booked Roman got Roman no love. The way he booked Cena got Cena no love. Cena ended up having to earn it back himself.
Yeah.
Um, and I think Cody knows what he's doing. Um, and I think he wants to teeter this heel line for just a bit. Um, but I really don't know where you go with it. There's honestly there's kind of too many heels,
Mm.
and outside of Hangman, do we have a bunch of faces? Because I can't name too many.
I mean, technically FDR is their face. Um, I mean, Inner Circle basically now are faces, even though they started off as heels. Um, yeah, you got best friends, you got like stuff here and there, but not a whole lot of top heel or top faces.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's a weird thing. Well, I guess Darby probably counts.
yeah,
But yeah, outside of like Hangman and Darby, you don't have those guys you put on the placard as your top face guys. Um,
yeah.
it's weird that he wants to toe this line. I'm with you. I'm a little confused. I don't know where it goes. I thought it was a little strange that he got the win here, um, especially considering all of this stuff. Plus, I mean, that meant he went over both Black and Andrade, and
Yeah,
that's not a good look. But I mean, I'm always happy to see the bastard get a win. So I guess
yeah.
we can take that as a silver lining here.
I did like seeing both teams. This was a thrown together match, and both teams were not really getting along too well, and they were both
Yeah,
tagging each other's in, stuff like that. I did like that dynamic. They were both dysfunctional teams, and I didn't see the end of this match, but I'm assuming Cody like basically eked out a win here.
yeah,
Um, and I guess there's a rumor that Malachi Black is also potentially injured, which is also a bummer if that's true. Hopefully, it's minor and a lot of injuries in the show. Although you wouldn't have really known it from actually watching the matches, but they everyone worked through it. But yeah, I don't know what you do. I think the problem with if Cody's trying to teeter here between the thing. If this isn't intentional, it's he's doing such a great job that it's coming across as earnest, and like especially I think with the show, the reality show and stuff like that, that it feels like it's he's kind of flying by the seat of his pants, and that he is earnest on all this all this stuff, and it's not a kind of a plan of action. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Like that's the thing. If anything, he might be too good at. If this is intentional, he's too good at working us that it's very confusing to all of us. We don't know where the line is.
Yeah.
So, um, and back in his dad's day, this would be the perfect way to do it, especially in a day today where there's no kayfabe left. But yeah, it's kind of nuts. Um, Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. We've kind of touched on this. A very fun defeated the Super Click, and that was a very fun match. I don't really have so much to say about it. I think Jungle Boy proves that he belongs as one of the pillars, with the exception that he needs to work on his promos. But his work and stuff was really solid in this.
I think and I think we talked about it leaving the show the other day. I I will never, if I live to be 200, it won't be enough time to understand how Vince McMahon didn't see it with Adam Cole.
Yeah,
Um, Being in that room and hearing 15,000 people boom in unison, that man is a superstar. That man should have, not even a could have, should have main evented a WrestleMania already. Um, he's far too damn good at everything, and good guy, bad guy, doesn't matter who he's working with. He he's the showstopper. He's I really do. The only comparison you can make with a guy that has all the intangibles he has is that he's Shawn Michaels 2.0. Um, and I will never truly understand how it just kind of fizzled, and I'm thrilled to have him in AEW, because
yeah,
the sky is definitely the damn limit for him. I will never understand. And if anybody wants to point to just a clear cut example of Vince maybe losing touch, that is 100% it.
yeah.
Because that I just I it, it takes your breath away to be in the crowd when everybody simultaneously hits the boom. I uh, it's a marvel. Um, and
And they added,
I've been in full crowds that yes chant. I mean that I've been in crowds that really pop for something, and nothing has even come close to that.
well, I'd say the only thing that I've been and also there for you with you is, but also there was like, I don't know, like 30, 40,000 more people. But when the Hardys came back, the WWE,
Uh
that's still the biggest pop.
that's true.
Uh,
Yeah.
and you were outside of your body, so I think that's why you don't remember it so well. Uh, um,
I was in the ring waiting on them. Like I literally floated from the 400 level at Camping World. Yeah, that's true. But it really is, and on a consistent weekly basis, he gets the exact same pop, and I, I mean, every third person in the crowd was wearing his damn T-shirt,
right.
and I'll never understand it.
I
Never.
think I think too, like they added even more booms to this uh to the song, so people could just like do it a whole bunch of times. That
Yeah.
was very smart of them. But it's also just incredible timing, because it does seem like Omega needs to get some time off to heal up, and especially with what happened at the end of Hangman's match and stuff like that with the Young Bucks, it does very much seem like Adam Cole kind of fills in that power vacuum of Omega disappearing for several months, and like I don't know, I don't think there's anyone better to do it. I think he's like, and it's perfect timing of when he came in at All Out, that he's just there at the right time, and he has just such credibility to be that guy, that one of those top heels of the company, if not the top heel of the company, um, to thwart Hangman and stuff like that, and being a thorn of his side. And he feels more natural than Omega. Definitely feels like amazing in the ring, but he's always a little bit of a weirdo. Like, so I feel like he'll feel a little bit more credible there at the top as well, like promo wise. Not
Yeah.
that Omega's a bad promo, just Omega is somehow a weird promo that I can't really explain. Someone was holding up a sign at Rampage that said Kenny is an alien, and it's very true. Uh, so I do wonder what happens to Don Callis with with Kenny going away. I'm assuming that means Don Callis is going to be off TV for several months unless he finds a new client uh, along the way, like kind of does a Heyman type situation. But
I guess
we'll see that later.
he could still bring the Good Brothers back,
Yeah,
work with them. But yeah, there's not really a need for him.
yeah,
Um, and really, his only purpose was to kind of get Kenny over as a heel. Um, I mean, shit. Even the Cleaner wasn't necessarily a heel; he was just kind of a
yeah,
badass. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I guess
The,
the only match we haven't hit on the Eliminator tournament.
oh right, yeah. I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but yeah, because on the fact that it was an opportunity for a surprise, and it wasn't. I was on the same flight out as Miro. On the flight, I did notice his. He had his head down, but I noticed his Bulgarian. He was wearing a a tank top, and he had his Bulgaria tattoo on his arm, and so I was like, "Yeah, that's Miro." I thought it was good effort. As Cage Side said, uh, God and Miro aren't on good terms right now, and people that aren't in God's good graces aren't going to win wrestling matches. So it kind of makes sense,
Yeah,
but I kind of want to see Miro. I think if Hangman defeats Danielson, I think that's a really good coronation. Maybe even more so than Kenny. I mean, the storyline was there with Kenny, but with Danielson, technically, like if he can beat Danielson, I think that's a really good feather in his cap.
true.
But the match was good. I don't
Yeah,
have
I mean,
anything negative to
it,
say against the match.
it didn't shake the earth or anything, but
Mm,
considering that it was kind of a last minute replacement thing 3 days ahead of time, they definitely they put it together well. So that was at least good.
yeah. Well, anything else you want to mention? I know you didn't watch NXT, so
I didn't. We are gonna do another episode later in the week to get some Survivor Series predictions. I don't know how good Survivor Series is going to be, but
yeah.
we will meet back and predict that. I will briefly say that Raw was surprisingly decent this week. They're doing some interesting things with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville that I'm entertained by. Adam Pearce in particular has now he's gone full heel against the Mysterios,
Mm,
and I'm for it. Um, I like this. It's it. I liked watching Bobby Lashley throw the Mysterios around. It's selfish, but I enjoyed it. Um, Austin Theory has now replaced Rey Mysterio in the Survivor Series match. Um, so they're padding out Team Raw with some absolute man meat here. But yeah, when we do the predictions, I will have caught up, and we will touch on the week that was, hit some predictions, and go into Survivor Series.
yeah, we'll talk about Moose as well, who I'm assuming will be also on Impact with Josh Alexander versus Murder Grandpa. So I'll be watching that this week. And yeah, we'll catch you later this week. And I'll let Matt get some rest and like, subscribe, ring the bell, do whatever you want. And yeah, talk to you later.